Today, as per the WHO, more people are obese than underweight in the world except for sub-Sahara Africa and Asia. Today, 1 billion people are obese, of which 650 million are adults and 39 million are children. But why are we discussing obesity? Because obesity is now becoming a fast-growing problem in India. Today, nearly 1 in 4 people in India are obese, and by 2030, studies indicate India is expected to account for close to 28% of obese people in the world. That means 28 out of 100 people who are obese will be from India. Also, obesity is not just an adult condition. India's obesity rate amongst children is rapidly rising. Today, 20 to 30% of children under the age of 18 in India are obese. The latest findings published on India's obesity rate in the government-published National Family Health Survey of 2019-2020 points to just that, the obesity problem in India. As per the report, the percentage of adults who are obese has risen in the past decade. For example, women who are obese in India has risen by over approximately 12% in the past 15 years to 24% in the year 2019-20 and close to 5% in just the past 5 years. Similarly, the number of obese men has risen to close to 23% in 2019-20 versus 9.3% close to 15 years ago and around 19% just 5 years ago. Obesity basically means having an excessive amount of fat in the body. Obesity is measured by your body mass index or your BMI and waist to hip ratios. BMI is a calculation of one's body fat by dividing your weight by your height. A person with a BMI between 18.5 to 24.9 is considered to have a normal weight. 25 to 29.9 is considered overweight, and anything which is 30 and above is considered obese. As per the National Health Survey, the BMI of Indians has risen from 21.9 around 5 years ago to 22.4 in 2019-20. Also, the other tool used to measure obesity, the waist to hip ratio, which is measured by dividing your waist with your hip too, is spelling out concern in the country. As per 2019-20, 57% of women and 48% of men have a waist to hip ratio that puts them at risk of weight-linked diseases. Obesity is not just a cosmetic issue, but a medical concern. A study published in The Lancet in fact pegs the risk of obesity similar to that of smoking when it comes to the risk of death. A BMI above 45 between the age of 20 to 30 years can shave off 8 years of life expectancy in women and 13 years for men. Obesity puts people at risk of contracting non-communicable diseases such as heart diseases, hypertension, stroke, diabetes, and some types of cancer. And remember, India has a rapidly rising non-communicable disease burden. In 2016, over 60% of deaths in India was due to non-communicable diseases. India today is deemed as the diabetes capital of the world, and today cardiovascular diseases are the reason for 1 in 4 deaths in the country. Obesity is going to just add to the existing burden of NCDs. India has leapfrogged when it comes to industrial development, and social development has not kept pace, say experts. That means increasing affluence or rising incomes has led to greater access to food and changes in food habits. This combined with a largely inactive lifestyle and stress, which can be defined as, say, large travel times and no time for exercise, is resulting in a cocktail for rising weight. And these changes are more prevalent in urban areas versus rural. All this is corroborated by the National Health Survey, whereas per this study, there was a steady decrease in the proportion of thin men and women as the household wealth rose. That is, the proportion of thin women was 28% in those with the lowest wealth to 10% with those in the highest wealth category. Similarly, the proportion of thin men and women was higher in rural areas. For example, the proportion of thin men was at 18% in rural areas versus 13% for those in urban areas. Lastly, doctors also point out obesity is also cultural. Indians equate chubby and overweight as healthy, and this, experts point out, starts from childhood. And lastly, there is also a lack of awareness, points out the doctor. They just don't know that being overweight can cause heart diseases or a stroke. A few factors: increase awareness on multiple quarters and in multiple ways. Increase awareness on calories, nutrition, exercise, and that yes, obesity is indeed a medical issue and a risk factor for chronic conditions. Also, increase awareness in schools, colleges, workplaces, villages, cities. Some recommend taking even tougher steps such as banning junk food, say from schools, colleges, and making calorie content and warnings on certain ingredients and foods mandatory. And doctors point out that preventing obesity needs to be incorporated as a family lifestyle and needs to be inculcated from the time of childhood.